Okay, welcome back. Straight into part two, but I will say if you found this and you haven't seen part one first, then do please check on part one here. The all the good stuff's in the. This is just a continuation of the same video. I've just broke it up, but if you don't watch that one first, this one won't make a lot of sense to you. So yeah, do check that out first. I will move on to the misuses of salt. So I hear a lot people keep a salt level in the pond all the time. I hear people who increase the salt level in the winter. There's various things bandied about, various reasons for people justify putting salt in their pond. And as I say, there is absolutely no benefit to it in any circumstances at all. I hear people say, oh, the Japanese breeders put salt in their ponds, so it must be okay. That's another popular one. Again, nonsense. Unfortunately, Japanese breeders are effectively treating their koi for parasites constantly, but it's a completely different situation to a hobbyist who's giving their fish a forever home that wants them to thrive and flourish. Breeders in Japan need to keep their koi alive, short term, huge numbers. They're effectively, as I say, they are constantly treating for parasites while the koi are in their cur. And the first thing breeders over here, be in the UK or anywhere else, need to do is get the koi, effectively wean them off that salt. It is not a long-term solution. It's a short-term commercial solution to a particular problem, but it doesn't apply at all to a hobbyist keeping koi at home. I hear people say, oh, I do it because my dad did it for years and he never had a problem. If he didn't have a problem when he was adding salt to his pond, he wouldn't have had a problem if he didn't add salt to his pond, because it is not contributing anything positive. I can't go back in time and sort of say, don't add salt and see what happens. There isn't an argument, but if you get through a winter without a problem and you've added salt to your pond, it isn't because the salt was in there. The salt is not contributing anything positive. Another one I hear is that salt thickens the mucus layer, and so people kind of try to claim this is somehow a good thing. There's an element of truth in this, in that the mucus layer of a koi is disrupted and it becomes thicker. It becomes also less uniform, more patchy when subjected to salt. That's not a good thing. Essentially, that is your koi's body being irritated and wanting to protect itself from the effects of the salt. The koi's body has a level of protective slime, of mucus, that is perfect. Mother Nature determines how thick it needs to be. Subjecting your koi to irritation in the form of salt, such that its body makes that mucus layer thicker, it's not a benefit. And just very briefly, I will just touch on I did mention sort of people putting salt in thinking that it has some kind of benefit coming into spring. People worry a lot about spring. People think it's a dangerous time for koi, and with good reason. There is a reason why that is the case. Aeromonas bacteria. There is a period where your koi's immune system is very weak still, but bacteria has already kicked in and is very active. And during that temperature window, coming up from colder temperatures to warmer temperatures, your koi is vulnerable. But salt will not do anything at those levels to Aeromonas bacteria. And the key thing for me is those bacteria can only attack your koi, can only take advantage of your weakened koi if they're there. So the answer to Aeromonas bacteria issues in spring is not to subject your koi to chemicals. That is a very lazy way, and it's not high enough level anyway to have any impact. The answer is to keep your system clean, have your system optimized properly so that it stays clean. You don't have dead water, you don't have silt, you don't have areas for aeromonas bacteria to live, because if they're not there in the first place, they can't take advantage of your koi. So the answer to the problem is to make sure you don't have the bacteria there in the first place. A few more negative impacts that of salt on koi that are less well spoken. I've never seen any scientific evidence that proves these points, but I generally believe all three of these three things that I'm going to talk about now. That is my opinion. But yeah, I do believe there is substance to all three of them. The first one is that salt levels causes your koi's colours to fade. So subjecting your koi's skin, the pigment in your skin, to salt causes that pigment to lose luster and intensity, resulting in your koi's colours fading. And again, salt is a very corrosive it rots cars, for example. It causes cars to rust and rot. It is a very corrosive chemical. I have no reason to doubt whatsoever that subjecting a delicate koi skin to salt would not fade the colour. I can completely understand why that would be the case. I've never exposed my koi to salt at all, ever. I can't say for sure that that's the case, but certainly I believe that would be correct. And I've spoke to people who swear they've seen that, and that is correct. I guess you'd need to find that out for yourself, but certainly if I was showing my koi, I wouldn't be subjecting them to salt. The second one is long-term exposure to salt is harmful to a koi's liver. Now again, difficult to prove. I've not seen any literature on this, although in theory a scientific study would be able to prove or disprove this. I haven't seen one. If there's one out there, if you've seen one, please do let me know. I know that I've seen papers where rats have been exposed to higher levels of salt, and certainly that is damaging and harmful to the liver of rats. Of the liver, the heart issues in humans from overconsumption of salt are well documented. So I have no reason to doubt that, again, that wouldn't apply equally to koi that are exposed to salt. So yeah, liver damage and another potential issue from salt exposure. And the last of these kind of little side threads is I hear a lot about exposure to salt reducing koi's growth, impacting on a koi's growth. Now again, I've never done it. I can't speak firsthand, and again, it's something very difficult to prove. You keep a koi in a salt environment, it grows to our size. It's hard to say, well, it's impossible to say that if it hadn't been in the salt, it would be bigger. But the belief is that a level of salt in a koi's habitat has a negative impact on its overall growth. A few of the little things to think about if you do intend using salt. Salt is not compatible with a lot of other treatments. So if you have any kind of salt level in your background, if I had even a tiny level of salt, I would never put any chemical treatments in. Some of them do claim to be safe. I'm not really convinced. I wouldn't risk it. So if you do have any salt in there, do get it all out before you put any chemical treatments in there. Also, the impact on plants. Some people will have plants in their koi ponds. Elevate the salt level high enough and it will kill plants as well. So it does have a negative impact on all freshwater life, not just fish, parasites, etc., but plant life as well. And as a general rule, I would say if you're going to take your salt level up above 0.1%, 1000 ppm, then I would remove all the plants first. Beyond those kind of low levels, it will have a negative impact on your plants and it will kill them. Okay, in terms of if you diagnose your koi with an ailment that you intend to treat with salt, obviously properly, thoroughly, accurately diagnose the problem first. If you can't get hold of any of the purpose-made products, or for whatever reason you choose to use salt as a treatment, then What you need is the non-iodized salt, or PDV salt, pure dried vacuum. They're the salt, the types of salt that you need to source, and you need to use stuff like rock salt. Not good at all. I think it's about 95% salt, so there's 5% of that stuff that isn't salt, and those impurities can be anything. You don't know what they are, so yeah, don't use stuff like rock salt, because I mean, as well as the fact that there's only 95% of it that's sodium chloride, 5% of it is impurities that you don't know what they are. Also, it makes dosing, it makes the correct deciding the correct dose rates difficult, because you know it's not 100% sodium chloride. So yeah, avoid rock salt. In terms of concentrations, there are various levels that you can use, but for example, you choose to use 2%. 2% saline solution is created with 20 grams of salt in 1 litre of water, and this would typically be for a salt bath. So if you've got 10 litres of water, you need 200 grams. If you've got 100 litres of water, you need 2,000 grams, 2 kilograms of salt. So those are the levels. And obviously if you choose a 3% solution, then it's 30 grams per litre, etc. A good level for a salt bath, I would suggest, is 2%. So 20 grams of salt for every litre of water. Use pond water, the correct temperature, etc. that the koi are used to. Fill a tub of some form, a container, with pond water. Add the correct amount of salt. Stir it very, very thoroughly. You need it to make sure it's completely dissolved. I would suggest covering it, having a net on it, so you'll stop the fish from jumping out, because it's going to be unpleasant. They're not going to like it. They're going to want to get out of there. Put something over the top that'll stop them jumping out, but will still enable you to see the fish. You need to observe them all the time they're in the bath. They can keel over very quickly, and you can need to get them out and get them back in fresh water, so you must observe them all the time they're in there. But yeah, as I say, although that will kill the parasites on the koi, it doesn't kill the parasites in the system, in the pond, on the other fish. And so you can treat a koi, you can kill the parasites, and then as soon as you throw it back in the pond, it can be reinfected. So not always the best solution. And I think I mentioned, but about between 0.3 and 0.5% salt if you want to use the short term, the low concentration, longer term, for relieving of osmotic stress. And just before I finish up, two little bonuses, if you like, from salt. One is, if you manage to expose your koi to a high level of nitrite for whatever reason. So nitrite takes up places in your koi's hemoglobin, which oxygen should be taken up. So the hemoglobin carries oxygen around the body. The nitrite molecules take up these little slots. If you imagine it like as a train, the hemoglobin is a train going around your koi's body. Each seat in each compartment has an oxygen molecule in there, and the train transports the oxygen around the koi's body. If you get a high level of nitrite, and nitrite sits on those seats basically and muscles out the oxygen, so the oxygen can't get in, and the oxygen isn't transported around the koi's body. And what effectively happens from high nitrite exposure is the koi suffers from asphyxiation, basically a lack of oxygen. And so if you then add salt to the water, to the pond, those ions, the salt competes with the nitrite, and it basically acts as security. Effectively, it throws the nitrites off the train, so the oxygen can sit down effectively. I have no idea where this analogy's come from or where we're going with it, but I'm stuck with it now. I've committed now. So yeah, all you need to know is adding salt will counteract the harmful effects of a high nitrate level. I probably should have just said that in the first place, but anyway, that's a good benefit of salt. It's a last ditch solution. You know, water changes, don't let the nitrate get high in the first place. But if you do get in that position where it's high, it's an immediate danger, then adding some salt could potentially save your koi's life. However, just one little thing, as I say, it is an emergency a last ditch solution. We've established salt is harmful to freshwater life. Unfortunately, the bacteria in your filter also come under that banner, so salt is harmful to those bacteria as well. So you chuck it in for the nitrite. Yes, it removes the immediate danger of nitrates, but it can and does have also a negative impact on your filter bacteria. So it can kind of also work the other way a little bit. So you must stop feeding, and you've got to assume effectively that you're in new pond syndrome, that you're starting your filter bacteria from scratch again afterwards. Not always the case, depends how much you've put in, but yeah, do keep that in mind, that can also have a negative impact on the function of your bacterial colonies, and so it can exacerbate the problem that you have, the reason for the high nitrite in the first place. Another little Easter egg, if you like, from salt is if you have a koi that's egg bound. So Epsom salt is I think it's kind of a laxative effectively, but a level of Epsom salt will have a positive effect on a koi that is egg bound. So it can be a good solution to fix that problem as well. And that would be administered as a bath. So take out the individual koi, 1 gram per litre of Epsom salts for about 30 minutes. Observe again all the time. That is good for curing a koi that is egg bound. I should have mentioned, but if you do intend using salt at all, make sure you've got a saline meter, a good, accurate, reliable meter. Don't add salt to your pond until you've got one of those. You have to be able to monitor exactly and accurately the level of salt in your pond at all times. So do make sure you get a meter before you think of adding salt. I think I've covered everything there that I wanted to talk about. I could go on all day. There's such a big subject, there's so much out there, but I'm conscious of the length of the video already. I'm going to leave on commenting, but please keep it civil. If anybody starts to be otherwise, then I will just remove those comments. I'm not going to remove comments from people who have a different opinion to me, that of course, but if anyone's wants to argue, or I'll just delete them. I really can't be bothered. So please, constructive criticism, feedback, keep it civil. You may have noticed on my splash screen earlier, that one, that I have a website, www.dazzlekoi.com. Very much a work in progress. Essentially at the moment there's all the dates for the UK shows are on a calendar on there. There's all my videos on there. I'm going to probably start doing a blog on there. At the moment, not a lot on there, but do please have a look and do let me know your thoughts on that. Anything that you'd like to see on there, anything I can do to improve that, please do give me feedback in the comments below. Thank you for watching. It's been a long one. Hopefully you're still with me. I'm going to get cracking now on a lot more videos. I'm going to, for example, I've got some pond visits to do. I'm going over to spend some time at Cuttlebrook Koi Farm here in the UK around late May, early June-ish time. So I'm going to do some filming over there, hopefully get some interesting stuff there about from the breeder's perspective and what they're doing over there. And actually, if you have any questions that you'd like me to put to the people there at Cuttlebrook, please do let me know as well, and I will make sure that those questions are asked. Going to pick up a koi from there, a chag probably, and I'll do some kind of giveaway somehow for that as well, so you'll be able to win that fish. I will be buying that. I'm not getting any freebies or anything, but I'll select a chag from Cuttlebrook and then I will give that koi away in some kind of competition or something to be determined. I'm going to do some more stuff with Tim at Quality Nishiki Koi. Going to get down there, spend some time down there, speak with Tim and see what we can do. So yeah, a lot of stuff coming up, so look out for that. Thank you again for watching. Hope that was useful to you. I'll see you in the next video.